Welcome aboard The Nichole Show with host Nichole Hamilton. Our task is to educate, empower, and change lives. Join us for stories of resilience and rebirth. Honest talks that inspire and challenge you. Are you ready to make a move? It begins now. Welcome back, guys. It's Nichole Hamilton here with The Nichole Show. And today's beautiful guest is Patty McDonald. I had the pleasure of meeting him in a coaching container around 3 years ago. And the connection and friendship has just grown from there. So my intention for these podcasts is to dive deep into humanity, the mask behind the social media. And Patty is a leadership and life coach. He is an ecstatic dance DJ and a dingo advocate. And I was nervous because I had to write down the show notes, but they'll be all at the bottom if you want to find Patty. Obviously, he's been instrumental in some of the connections and growth that I've personally had. And that's why I ask these beautiful people to be on the podcast and to dive deep, ask any questions about me, my life, or anything that organically wants to be shared, vulnerable stories, so that people listening to this don't feel so alone. So welcome, Patty.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. And I like what you said about being able to peel back the masks. That definitely feels like something that we've both journeyed on deeply around, letting go of some of the old versions of ourselves. What I really admire about you is just how much you've let these new colorful expressions come through, but not from a place of trying to fit in or trying to meet the expectations of society or anyone else. It's just, this is the purest version of your soul coming through. And that to me has been, well, at least my perception is because you've been able to strip away the masks that have been covering up some of those colors.
Yeah, thank you so much for that beautiful reflection. It is a journey and stem from this growth. I honestly didn't know Nichole's worth, whether people would want to be friends with her. I felt like I tried too hard a lot of the times. And now I really do follow my own intuition and what feels right to express, which is the birth of this podcast. It is a tongue-in-cheek, The Nichole Show, because in my business sector, it's not The Nichole Show. It's always a collaboration. You've been a part of my, masterclasses. I do believe that, collectively, there's enough clients for us all and to really work together. But here I want to go, well, what's behind that? How did I get here? What are some of those, similarities or journeys that I've had, and be asked some of the deeper questions. So I guess, is there anything that you've ever wanted to either ask me or challenge me on, or let's dive deep, or let's be curious.
I actually love to just start off with a pretty direct and challenging one straight away, because I love the theme you've just brought into it, which is the choosing to bring the self to the forefront with the Nichole Show. So, the way that I organically see you collaborate and really prioritize community. And I've had my own journey with this, this idea of humility and modesty, which is so valuable. And I love that flavor. And then simultaneously, I see myself holding back my ability to serve, and also ability to give permission to others to be themselves as well, by not fully letting myself take the stage when the time comes. So I'd love to ask you, in that decision to have this show give a bit of spotlight to yourself, what was that decision like? And has that been challenging to give yourself that permission?
Well, honestly, yeah. I'm super nervous every single show. I have that adrenaline in the belly because I don't know where it's going to go. And I know that I've done and behaved in certain ways that I'm not so proud of in my past, but that is also a part of me. And that does allow that permission if I speak into it. Honestly, I've been online for many, many years, and, love and light, great. When I'm feeling motivated and passionate, and those posts are great. But when shit hits the fan, literally, when Aurora was little and crawling through dog poo and I was losing it, I got more comments and more DMs about the rawness and realness, and same time and time again when I've, had a meltdown or, being okay with being vulnerable. that's when I've got more traction or more heartfelt reach outs. And I guess through that journey, through opening up from even addiction, that permission means that somebody else doesn't feel so alone. So that's my intention behind it, as scary as it is. It might seem effortless. I am very outspoken, but I still have my fear of judgments and what could possibly come up. But I do it for, honestly, that one person that this might land on their ear that makes them feel better.
Love that. And so when that fear comes up, like, what's that experience like for you? Because it sounds like it doesn't go away, right? Like there's sometimes this perception that people that are sharing as openly as you have mastered this fear and it's just non-existent. But I'm hearing that's not the case.
It's a process. I am very grateful and blessed that I've called in so many amazing humans in my life, such as yourself, that I have that don't judge, that I can turn to for support if needed. But it's a challenge. It's like, I don't know, it's almost like that little fire in your belly, you know, when you're a kid and you do something and you know you're not meant to do it. And you're like, I'm going to do it anyway. It's almost like that. And so I'm like, just do it anyway. Put it forward. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
You know, if somebody judges me for it, that's okay, because innately, I don't want someone to feel so alone like I did, 12 to 14 years ago when I was searching. This stuff wasn't as readily available. So it's that little point. I do it, I suppose, a check-in, and I'm like, is it right? Do it anyway.
Yeah.
And that fear is more the fear of, I don't want to be judged. It's not that I don't want to put it out there. Doesn't mean that, I don't want to be of service. It's the fear of, going that little bit deeper with the honesty of, the humanness of who I am and what I've experienced.
Yeah. Is there a specific example you can speak to where you've actually received some pretty intense judgment and there's been something that like has actually happened, whether it be a message or whether it be a physical conversation, and then also like, like the reality of how that felt for you compared to the fear of it before it happened?
The two examples pop to mind. Obviously, my greatest fans and support are my parents. And when I very first started studying coaching and hypnosis, and I started putting posts out when social media wasn't, that big of a deal, my parents judged me and told me that I shouldn't talk about my drug addiction, because in their world, when you dealt with family issues and those type of things, it was, don't talk about it. Like, we'll deal with it in-house. Like, that's family stuff. That's private. Knowing then, I remember in a natural course, I was like, I went through my journey to share. Like, I had that epiphany. I went through this to share so others don't feel alone. So I do pull on that a lot when I go through something else in my life, especially. So that was in regard to my drug addiction. I was like, wow, I self-sabotaged and didn't get the help I needed in the systems we had to learn about hypnosis and NLP and coaches. And that's what I wanted to share back then. In regard to now, I guess one of the things that I do get judged for is my hair, my tattoos, and my pole dancing, because I work with kids. And I get comments on, TikTok or whatever else. Over time now, it doesn't affect me. Like, unless it's somebody that I really know and I feel like it's hurtful for them to judge me. But yeah, I find it hard to explain to some people that there's all facets of life. Like, women can be, beautiful and sexy. They can be a mama bear. They can be whatever they like in every facet of their life. And some people just don't have the level to really engulf all of that.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Actually, it brings to mind an example that I had when I was running a men's retreat, and it was a real expression of my heart. I was so excited to put it on for these brothers and really like bring some wholesome transformation to their lives. It felt very, very pure and very connected. And I was doing my first forays into ads on Instagram as well. And so that was really nerve-wracking for me, actually putting my money into it and spreading the audience out beyond my close-knit community. And, therefore hitting a lot of people who had no context and also, maybe weren't expecting messages like this in their feed potentially. And I remember I got a comment on one of the ads, which was like, I won't repeat it here because I'm not sure of the family-friendly nature of this podcast, but it was designed to be as hate-filled and vitriol as possible. Like, it was really designed to hit around like some deep judgment of like this type of work. And I remember I was actually like, I just arrived at some really good friends' wedding, and I saw it right as I was about to give a speech at this wedding. And this came up, and I was like, it was just so like out of the blue and just such like a left field thing come up. The first time I'd ever really faced it as well, but it was so like disconnected from our reality. I didn't really have any option but just to go, I don't have space for this right now. Just delete, close my phone, deep breath, shake it off, and let's move on, because that is not relevant to anything that I'm doing right now. If it was someone personal, close to me, it might have been a different situation, but it was just a good, I feared that judgment for a long time before receiving it. And then I actually received it, and it was not actually that big a deal because it was clearly not about me.
Yeah, correct. When we have that awareness, it can be really beautiful. I've had, friends that have received those types of comments, and it is sad, but I do the same. I assess whether it's, a client or somebody that I know or somebody that I want to put energy into with a reply. Majority of the time, like 90% of the time, it's no, block, delete, because that's not our audience. Mm-hmm. And that person, maybe it's triggered them for a reason, and later on they'll find somebody else. But yeah, the majority of the time, that content isn't worth our energy.
I love that. Yeah. I would love to switch gears a little bit and ask you about something that's very important to me at the moment, which is I'm stepping into fatherhood in 6-ish weeks, give or take, and super excited for that journey. So thank you. Very, very nervous as well though, because it's a lot of change. And, we had a really beautiful conversation a little while ago, which I'd love to reopen around your very unique experience of being a mother, going through that journey into motherhood, and also in some senses being a father role as well, like being there for your wife in the journey of motherhood as well. And there's not many humans on the planet that would have that experience of those two roles. So
the duality of both. Absolutely. No, and I'm again, like, I love that you've brought it back to my attention, because it's something that I probably take for granted now. Like, it is an absolute blessing to have been able to play both roles. I have a beautiful wife, Abby, and it wasn't something that Abby'd ever even really thought about, like having a family. She obviously got an Insta family when she decided to be, my partner. I had 2 young boys at the time. They were only like 4 and 7. So she was and is an amazing stepmom. Like, she stepped into that role like, a duck to water. And, through that, I was just curious. I believe that, and this is no judgment for anyone struggling to conceive, but if any woman really desires to be a mother and it's feasible and possible, that they innately have that, that right to explore it, because it's, what we're obviously created for. And so, even though, Abby's a lesbian, I was like, do you want to conceive? Do you want children? Do we want to make this happen? And it was, a good conversation and a yes. And so we, called in a beautiful donor, and that's what we did. It was a different journey because we were both very conscious of what we were calling in. Whereas with my ex-husband, you make a baby, which same thing calling in, but it was a completely different experience to go through the process and to really have to go through all those hurdles to make it happen. And it was beautiful. Like, because I am a mother, and so nurturing and maternal, to help Abby walk through that, and the beauty of experiencing somebody else's body grow a human, that is innately going to be the both of yours to teach. And then being there in the birth and being on the other side of it, again, absolutely phenomenal. And I remember running around like It's a crazy dad because we had to go home. I couldn't stay the night in the hospital. It was in COVID time, and I was running around before the hospital opened, like telling everybody in the parklands that, I'm a dad, like I'm a mom, like my wife's got a baby. And it was a process though. It was really different because, being on the mum version on the other side, you are all about your child, like your whole world changes. And to see that from a partner's version, like there is a little bit of distance that happens in the relationship because the baby becomes the first point of call. There is a transition period of emotions and growth as you adapt to being a different dynamic in family role. And then there's also a difference of that I noticed personally, because I have grown two beautiful boys, that I did feel a disconnect. Like I did feel a little disconnect because I hadn't grown this baby. I loved her, absolutely loved her. There was no question for that. But I believe that, I can't remember exactly when it was, but I do remember telling you the story. I remember the moment that I was so in love with Aurora, and I literally couldn't feel the difference between my biological children and Aurora. And I think it's a growing process because I hadn't grown this human, when I can't explain a maternal and mother's instinct. I'm sure it is on a father's side, you've contributed to creating this human, but when you grow this baby, like you have this ferociousness, you have this protection, you've loved it since it, since the pregnancy stage.
Yeah.
So seeing this beautiful human, seeing her born, but then absolutely feeling so connected to Aurora that I couldn't feel the difference between the biology and I guess maybe other step parents can relate to this, that it's a journey to fall in love with another human. It was really, really profound when I felt that really hit in my heart. I was like, she's mine. I love her. She's exactly the same. Yeah, it's a beautiful growth, and I maybe can only assume, and I guess as you go through it, I can ask you in the reverse in a few more months even, is it instant? Is it a growth thing that you fall in love with this, this child, because it's going to be different because you are a little outside.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. I love this idea as well of like falling in love with this being. I had someone say that to me recently with having a girl, and I mean having a child in general, but we're having a little daughter, and they said, wow, you're going to fall in love all over again.
Yeah.
And it really hit me that, because I'm someone who loves love.
Yeah.
And I love falling in love, and like being in a marriage and committed relationship for life, it's very much like we're going to deepen into love, and I'm sure we'll fall in love in different cycles and have all of this. I have this, I guess, belief that the falling in love chapter is done. Right? Like we've already fallen in love. And so that's, not the full picture, but it's one thought I had there. And the idea that there's this new human coming into my life and the whole falling in love process with on an incredibly profound level is really exciting. So
it is.
I'd love to hear from you. Like, what's the difference? Like, how did you find falling in love with your daughter different to, falling in love romantically, if at all?
Ooh. Yeah, I love love as well. Like I have love for, I believe one of my superpowers is unconditional love for, all humans. And I believe that there's a different kind of spectrum. But I think falling in love with Abby was almost instantaneous. Like it was an energy, it was a connection, an eye gaze, like my whole soul connected with her soul. So it was really profound and beautiful. And I knew straight away. With Aurora, I had a love for her because I knew that I was her second mama. I was her protector. I watched her grow. I had a love for her. But when I fell in love with her as a human being, it solidified that I am her person. She is mine, the same as my children. And I also think that because I come from a blended family and the rest, that perhaps I had my wall up because, my babies were my babies and Abby's baby is hers. And I was maybe a little scared. So it could have been that I had a bit of a wall of protection around my heart of just in case, if you know what I mean. Yep. But yeah, there is nothing there now. Like I just absolutely And I think I fall in love with her more and more each day. The more that she talks, she's 3.5 now, the things that she comes out with, the way that she cracks me up, the smoochy kisses that she gives, like, I think it's a growing thing, because the energy that kids bring and the creative and just fun that you have with them, it is almost like that butterfly excitement that you get to experience with them, and not the whole day, every day. Let's just be real. Like, it's not going to be all, rainbows every time, but there are snippets of that every single day with kids. There's snippets of that pure joy and love every single day with them.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. Yeah, I definitely feel myself already falling in love with our daughter, and everyone says that just you wait when you hold her for the first time, it's going to be a whole another level, and I can't
100%.
Can't wait for
Yeah, you will cry. It's
I already have.
Yeah,
so kind
but when you'll be that crazy dad running around telling everybody, "I'm the dad." I'm the dad. Like,
yeah,
it is. It's so beautiful, and a beautiful experience that you guys get to see the expression of your love in this new human.
I'd love to hear from you, because this is another piece that's been really alive with me on this journey into parenthood, which has been, this self expectation of now needing to be a provider, and this transition from being, an independent being who can live on very basic means and doesn't need much to be happy, now having, a wife and daughter that, like, there's a responsibility for, and also a desire to keep living my purpose and keep expressing myself creatively and really following the truth of my soul and its unique path, but also a lot of fear around, but safety and finances and security is a big priority for me now. And I've had other people say to me, look, when your kids arrive, like, you will have so much more inspiration and energy and motivation than ever before, and it'll be actually supportive for your journey of purpose. But then there's a part of me that just wants to retreat to the security of a 9-to-5 just to have that for them there. And, that's not my path at this stage, at least. But I just wanted to see from your perspective, as someone who's dived courageously into the path of entrepreneurship and business, and also, a pretty alternative version of it at that. Like, how has the step into parenthood originally, especially when your boys came along, how has that shifted your relationship with your own path and purpose?
Hey everyone, Nichole here, and I hope you're enjoying today's episode. I just want to take a quick moment to talk to you all. If you're finding value in our conversations and loving the raw, honest dialogues we're having here, I've got a small favor to ask. This podcast is a passion project for me, and there's nothing I love more than bringing these stories and insights to you. So if you haven't already, would you consider subscribing to our show and leaving a review? It's completely free and it doesn't take much time, but it really helps us in 2 big ways. It's getting the podcast in front of more listeners, which keeps our community growing. It helps us attract more amazing guests, which means we give you more value in the episodes we bring to you. Just hit that subscribe button, drop us a review, and let's keep these conversations flowing. Now let's dive right back into our episode, and thanks so much for being a part of the Nichole's Show.
I think all these curiosities are relevant. There is a lot of, in the stories that and the pressures that you're putting on yourself there, Patty, you just have to ask, is that what society thinks or assumes or wants of me? Or is this something that is innately my own drive? But if I look back, just first of all with Aurora, look at how much my business has grown in 3.5 years. And that's with her being here from brand new. Yeah. And that drive, I completely understand that father pressure, because I felt it, as the woman, when I had a male partner and I had the husband and he was the higher breadwinner, I had that safety and security to just be a mother and relax into that. Although I didn't even then. But I started my business back then when, I started my beauty business because I wanted to be at home with the kids. I wanted to get out of my 9-to-5. But with Aurora as well, I really wanted to be that provider and make sure my business was creating enough income. And so in those times when I wasn't being, the other mum, I was really putting my passion into my business. Mm-hmm. So I think your friend was right. You will find that drive and that intention. Look, you've got 1,000 skills. You could walk into a job tomorrow if you needed to. And that's a nice thought and a backup. If you needed that income, you could walk into any job anywhere. But you're not going to need to. Like, you know, follow your passion and your heart and build your business. And I think that that provider, that strength that comes from being the male role model and the dad, like some of the fears that have held you back and you've, you know, said about business holding you back is going to be out the window because it's not going to be for you anymore. You're still going to live your passion and your pride and be that real role model, but you're going to be doing it for your beautiful daughter. And that'll give you that extra pop out of bed in the morning. You're doing this because I want to, and realizing, you know, your sense of self-worth from that and creating that life because, yeah.
How do you go about like creating the balance or even the boundaries for yourself? Because I just can picture myself being at home with my daughter and just not wanting to, and potentially not even being able to step away because I just want to be there so much.
Look, I'm recording in my home. Aurora does actually sleep at my mum's house on a Monday night. That's why I'm doing Tuesday morning podcast, so I don't have that interruption. But majority of the time, you know, Abby was on shift work when she went back to work. I had Aurora. I work with her on my hip. And even when my boys were little in my beauty business, I work with them around me. It doesn't have to look or be a certain way. If I'm doing masterclasses, as long as it's not a deep one-on-one healing that I have to be present for, Aurora's on my lap. You know, if she needs to go potty or she needs to do things, I'm like, excuse me, it's mama bear first. But it is a juggling act, you know. Some days I do. Some days I'm like, I need a family day. Like and when I was working with one of my coaches, she would look at my calendar because I would get frazzled. She's like, nope, change your hours. You're having Fridays off now. So it's a constant work and rework around your family, your schedule, but know that you can actually create the life with your family in it in a way that's really organic for you. Like Aurora and Abby come to my workshops, come to my retreats. They're a part of it. There's no exclusion there. And before I would have been like, oh no, it has to be professional. It's just me and my coaches. And it's just, no, you know, I'm a mama bear, I'm a boss babe too. And it has to be balanced. So I think there's a beautiful web to play in there that you can co-create the exact version that's going to be perfect for you. Nap time, awesome. Podcast time, coaching time, whatever it is. Okay, now it's daddy time. You know, you'll find that blend, and it will be forever changing.
Yeah, beautiful. Love that. So your business is obviously very much in the realm of kids as well, right? And you're giving so much service to kids in our community in Australia. I know that is expanding, and you're, you know, over time going to be taking that around the world.
Fingers crossed.
World domination, right? And what's coming up for me tuning into you and your journey is just this beautiful concept that all the children of the world are all of our children. Like when a village, an Indigenous village has a child born into it, yes, there are the parents that play a central figure, but the whole village is raising that child. And I really feel that in your mission as well, of not just, you know, delivering the service to the kids, but empowering others that are going to be raising that bar as well. So my question in this is, how do you see it as a superpower? I'm just trying to get the question. I see this as a superpower of yours of being able to share the love that you have beyond the walls of your family unit, right? And really to the desire for other children and other people to thrive. And that expanded state of love, I feel, is such an incredible gift that I want more of in my life, and I imagine other people would as well. So can you speak to where that came from? Like, how did you develop that within yourself?
Honestly, that's such a good question. All I can feel when I tap into that is that it was my soul's mission, unconditional love. And I have been through, you know, a journey of lots of different places and spaces. I genuinely love every human being, even humans that have hurt me. Like I can come back to forgiveness and love very easily. I know some people don't, but it just is for me. Like I can't really explain it. And through loving people in all the places and spaces I've worked, loving kids is the most powerful. And in the places and spaces that I worked in, you know, education and government organizations, you can't use that word. You're not allowed to be a human. And there was many times that kids looked at me with these, you know, soulful eyes. And, you know, the best I could say to them that, you know, was I'm proud of them in those places. And some had never even heard that, you know, and I am respectful of boundaries and what is and isn't okay. Like I'm very well aware of that. But I always ask my kids, can I give you a hug? I love you. Like I tell that to all of my clients that I work with. And it's genuine, you know, and that's all that a human being wants is to be loved and seen. So why would you not say it? And some people don't like it. Like I say that in my workshops, in my trainings. I've had parents I can't even fathom this, and I'm sure you can't coming into fatherhood, stop telling their kids that they love them because it felt uncomfortable. And I'm like, that's your homework now. Say it. You know, they've got teenagers or 20-year-old kids and they're not saying it to their kids. So if you're a parent out there and you've stopped saying it to your kids, I challenge you, go say it randomly without an expectation to hear it back. Because that's what I hear sometimes. It's like, well, they don't say it back. Who cares? You made this human. Fucking love them. I don't care. But yeah, love is a triggering word for some. It's not for me. I believe that it's a big scale. Like I have my love for my wife and my kids, which is ferocious and high. And then I have a love for you, Patty. And that's, you know, down the scale, but we're quite close. And then other people and clients and the rest. So I believe it's a sliding scale, but I honestly have love for every single human being. And I have worked in prisons too. So there's love for people that even haven't done the right thing in society. But I can genuinely say that. And it feels like a soul level purpose that I came in with in this life. It's even on my website. Like I just believe it. One of my superpowers is unconditional love, which is harder to give to myself sometimes, though.
Maybe some homework in that. Yeah, it definitely feels like a very human thing, right? To want to be able to have that love out there, but then the challenge to bring it inside as well. But what I heard in your answer there is that the amount of love that you feel for the people around you is really, it's a gift for you as well, right? Like that, I see how much light and joy you get to feel, the amount of love that you get to experience and surround yourself with. And what I heard you say, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that one of the ways that you really developed that was through forgiveness and through just building that muscle of unconditional love, loving when it's hard, loving when it doesn't feel logical.
100%. 100%. And I guess, in those moments, loving myself for the mistakes that I've made or the heartbreak that I've caused or the damage that I've done, you know, so it is harder on the reverse, I believe. It has been for me. But yeah, there is a joy. Like when you open your heart to love, because we close off, we have heartbreak, we have disappointment, we have triggers. So we close off. And so we get this kind of numbness to life. And I've been in those places too, where you numb out and then you can't feel anything. Or the only emotion that you really feel is freaking furious. And that's it, because it's a protective. But when you open your heart to love and joy, and I have had my moments of darkness and numbness where I've felt nothing and not wanted to even leave the house. But when I'm in this state of like connection and loving everybody, like, oh my God, it's just glorious. It's the best thing. It's the best thing ever.
Amazing. Yeah, I feel that sometimes when, you know, there's an opportunity to forgive someone or to bring love, and I'm like, they don't deserve it though. But it's not for them. It's actually for me.
I've had that, you know, I've had breakups with friendships that have come back 5 years later, and my beautiful wife, bless her heart, she's stubborn. She's like, but why? We don't like that person. That person's this. And I'm like, but they're just a human and I love them anyway. Regardless of whether I can still set new boundaries, they don't have to be in my life a certain or particular way, but I have literally forgiven, I'm pretty sure, every single person in my life that has hurt me. I even say it to my ex-husband. I'm like, how you going? And if he's having a bad day, I'm like, oi, I love you. And he's like, why do you do that? I'm like, because I do. I will always love you because you created this life with me and these two humans. And so, yeah, it does trigger people sometimes, but I just I do it anyway. I do it anyway.
It's like that saying, right? That like when someone you drink anger, what am I saying? When you feel anger for someone else, it's like drinking poison and expecting to hurt the other person. And
Correct.
It's the same with love, right? When we feel love for someone else, it's like we actually get to drink that beautiful elixir of that joy.
Of euphoria. Of euphoria. Loving on somebody, for sure. It's a beautiful gift.
Amazing.
And when you do tap into kids that are, you know, happy and healthy, like they radiate it. Like kids are, I remember traveling with my son when he was like 18 months old. And, you know, it was different for me because I hadn't really traveled much and we were overseas. And honestly, the gushingness and the connection of adults, oh my God, they're so beautiful, this and that. I was like, kids are actually the international language of love. Nobody like falls over. Like you go on your holiday and they're not like, oh, you're so beautiful, Patty, you're on holidays. But they'll do it for you. So kids really bring out that, you know, taking away the barriers around the heart of connection. And they just run around with absolute pure joy. And it starts from that, you know, moment they're born, that look in their soul. So yeah, it is so important to bring it back and spread it more.
Love that. What is the number one, or at least in this moment, the thing that comes to mind, like lesson that you've received from working with kids?
That they honestly get it way quicker than we do. They're super in tune with their own needs when given the space and choices. And they teach me. They teach me, like, you know, every day that I get to work with them or play with them, they show me something. And that's the joy in it. It's a two-way street.
What's your favorite animal?
Elephant. Again, eyes, they're soulful eyes. Like they just hold such a wisdom about them, but it's the connection. I can feel their soul in their eyes.
Where would you say your soul heritage is from?
Bali.
Okay.
Like I feel like that's home. When I go there, I step onto it. Yeah.
What's been the most, if you had to pick one formative experience or modality you've had?
I guess the very first session I had with hypnosis, tapping into my soul and finding my own answers within. Yeah, that was the biggest. It's why I studied. That internal click of knowing what my soul needed to change with a guide. Yeah, it's profound.
Which of the 4 elements do you most relate to?
Oh, the first one that popped in was fire. I guess it is my passion, my outstandingness. The second's water. Like I do love water. But yeah, I don't know why. Fire just popped in. I would normally say water. Maybe I'm in my fire element at the moment.
Yeah, or you can have 2. It's okay. What is your biggest focus for the next 12 months? Professionally.
There's some rejigging of my 6-month container that I feel aligned to do because it's not calling me at the moment, and a bit of scaffolding in regard to the growth of the business, getting some extra help in different things so that I have that freedom to teach and be more at home as well. So some scaffolding and just a really little jig up of my 6-month container.
If you could create any experience for yourself and your family in the next 10 years,
oh wow,
like a one-off experience, what would that be?
I think, the thing that just comes to mind is travel. Like I would really love to take them on, you know, a world trip or, you know, a really profound traveling experience into places that they've never been. I've never been.
What's the number one place on the list?
America. Many places in America. Mexico, South America. Yeah. I've never been to America, but yeah. And then obviously all the crazy places that you just see on TV that you have to do.
And if you could just flick a switch and there was one thing in the world that was just changed magically, what would that be?
That all children grow up safe. All children grow up safe.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Patty.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I love diving into the parenthood and the different elements of everything there. So lovely to have you on. I'm going to pop all your details underneath. I believe Patty would make a phenomenal kids mentor as well, but he does do his men's leadership group. It's really profound. I believe that it needs to come to the youth as well. So looking for an amazing men's coach, please do look up Patty McDonald. He's amazing. Follow me in my show notes and we might have you on again, Patty.
If anyone wants to hear another incredible conversation with this beautiful lady, head over to my
Yes.
podcast as well, where there's conversations with Nichole and some other incredible leaders out there as well. But absolute pleasure, Nichole. Thank you for having me on for this conversation.
You're so welcome. And I do love the way that you listen and reflect. It's really divine. So yeah, please do go on to Patty's podcast as well. I was on there, but there's some beautiful other shows in there as well. And hopefully this stuff, it's free and we just want to share that love and wisdom with you all. So yeah, until next time.